Right. Why is it at 720? What is this? That's weird. And, we should not be streaming in 720. I gotta fix that later. What is this? Anywho, anyway, how you guys doing? Talking about the first of the final 3 races. Yeah, dude, I'm in the dark. I already know I gotta get a ring light. That's already on the Christmas list because God knows I'm not gonna waste my money on that. Yeah, why is Restream just they're like, "You know what? We're doing 720." I'm not a fan of the new Restream update. Um, anyway, entering the Truck Series race. Now we have a lot to talk about here. We are, an hour and 50 minutes away till lock right now, about 1,100 left in the $10 one. Still has about 1,000 people left in the four. Roughly all these are about 25% left open at the moment, so plenty of time to jump right in and reserve your contests and lineups and everything. When we go ahead and look at this race. Now, let's actually kind of work backwards here. When we look at the short tracks this year of where everybody's been at, and we're kind of go back the last couple, about a year and a half, and we look at the tracks that are being used. We're looking all the way back at the last 2 short track races of 2023. Now, the fact that we do have 1, 2, 3 Bristol races in here, you may argue that kind of skews this a bit more than what you would want. I'm perfectly fine with that at this point for the truck series, just because we see such a gap between the different tiers of trucks. I'm not really concerned about that swaying or having a negative impact on the data that we're seeing here. Also, I do appreciate all the thank yous, but I will be here mainly probably doing like one-off showdowns for NFL with Bobby or some videos there, and then like showdown NBA and stuff throughout the off season. But I do appreciate you guys being here through all of the NASCAR weekends, not just for this year, but for following me from my channels I've been with before, et cetera, et cetera. I will be back with TrueDFS because I have got a minority stake in the company, so I'm here long term. I'm not going anywhere, right? But I do appreciate you guys like watching all my stuff. So these are the tracks we're looking at. So, from the outside looking in, these are your top guys entering this race. It's Eckes, Majeski, Heim, Sanchez, Taylor Gray, Ankrum, Infinger, Raja, Rhodes, and Purdy as your top 10. Now, if we all remember last year in this exact race, that was an absolute disaster. Okay, in terms of ethics, in terms of respect, in terms of this was a absolute slaughter. Okay. Now granted, you may argue that, the Xfinity guys, tore shit up because, Pole blew a motor, but still we had Lawless Allen get loose in turn 2 and smack the wall and take it down. We look back at last year's race of the amount of crashes we had. Now this race is 150 laps, which is, they need to extend it. It's far too short. But we did go into overtime last year. And you look at the amount of yellows we had last year. Now you might be like, hey, that might be the outlier. We look back at the last couple races at Phoenix, and we might argue that, hey, that's a bit of an outlier. We typically won't have, guys go full idiot mode in these races. But still, we look back. Oh, this is last year. We look back, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2 at the stages, 5 yellows in this race here. Number of laps ran to the end. We're still ending under, pretty hectic finishes here. We look back at the year before, that was the only race that pretty much went green to the end. I would lean more towards last year's race being the new norm. Now that might be me, leaning too much into that. Choosing that stance might, flat out lose or might just be the wrong approach right off the bat. But we look at the lack of sportsmanship throughout, everything, right? More and more. And I think you do probably want to lean into that more and more with, that being classified as variance now. And we look at like Eckes is like the clear front runner here, like the clear guy, based on what he's been able to do. Now we look back at the practice data. Getting a thank you, AD, for having this. Because what happened on Thursday? I was not here Thursday, so I did not pull it myself. We look back at where these guys are at and averages now. You see that nearly everybody has ran a fast lap, and basically all the stupid flying laps were in queue late in this. But we look at these averages, and you see Eckes, third fastest on average with Majeski and Rhodes up here, and we see pretty big increases as we go down the field. And where I'm at now, okay, yeah, now I mean that's just based on where we're running. We then look at Eckes is on so many people's shit lists. I think that's in play. I mean, last year, that race, Hocevar turns Heim. Now, I don't think he meant to do that, but overly aggressive. They're both involved in wrecks. Infinger gets involved in a wreck. Ben Rhodes takes damage in this race. All four of our championship guys were involved in wrecks and got damage in some form or fashion last year, not including all the guys reckoned for last. Okay, now we do have 35 cars, so we might, make the argument that it's not a full 36. We might not have, stupid stuff happen. I would argue that we have a lot of guys in the mid pack and that would expect to be running from 7th to 20th that have shown the tendency to race stupid, cause wrecks and stuff like that. And so, where I'm at, I fully believe Eckes does not finish the race. Now, that's just me going off of my feelings, my sensitive little feelings, filled in my plums. Like that's where I'm at. I don't believe Eckes finishes this race. Now, that's, when I look at my data that I've made and all the, I need to open this in a second tab. I'll tell you right now, I got Eckes projected to finish. Where are we at? I got Eckes to finish second today with 19 laps led and 8 fast laps. I don't think he has the best car of the people in the field, and that's where I would project him for. I think if he finishes there, he's not leading a lot of laps. Now, you then go with just my gut feel. I don't think he finishes the race. I just don't think the field allows Eckes to win this championship and to win this race or to run well at all. I think he is going to be roughed up by not only the other championship 4 contenders, but several people who have fast cars, Taylor Gray specifically. And I just don't think it's just Taylor Gray, but everything that happened last weekend typically boils over in the championship race, at least for the lower series as we get lower and lower. And so that's my hot take. That's the move I would be going with. So I will not be playing Eckes, despite the fact he's most likely the favorite to win this race on most projection sources. He's most likely the championship winner from the outside looking in of his performances. But I fully believe the field does not allow him to finish the race. So that is my take. So everything past that will be assuming or leaning in that direction of happening. So because of that, when I'm looking at Corey Heim and Ty Majeski, okay, we then start looking at these guys, and they're all pretty similar, okay? And really, between these guys, when we're looking at these two races here, the average finish leans Corey Heim, okay? The lap led finishes the same. Now, I don't typically look at laps led because that can be skewed by just one race. But we look at the races that Majeski has performed well in and led laps. Last year's fall race is a flat track, flat track, flat track, flat track, flat track. Nothing led at Bristol. And so that's typically why that would be a race that I would remove from the data set, because we should see similarities between the flat tracks and how these guys perform at Bristol. I would personally remove Bristol from the stuff, but this is just a visual thing to very easily see. So we remove the 65 from Bristol, and we just have Heim leading at North Wilkesboro and Phoenix of last year. Now, their Phoenix laps are pretty similar, literally one away. We look back at what Ty Majeski has done at the other tracks, and we then view where we're at in practice, and we look at Corey Heim and Ty Majeski side by side here, and they're running pretty similar laps. I mean, we start looking at just these here, like the first 13, that is a 27.2 for Ty Majeski. This is a 27.3 for Corey Heim. And we start looking at other laps, and we see, or at least I would look at their runs, and we are still seeing that this is slightly leaning towards Majeski in most of these laps. And so, from my point of view, I think Majeski has the better car. I think he has, and I mean, I think it's minuscule, but I do think it leads Ty Majeski. What I'm happy to see is that he was running so well in practice. Okay, now this will be a night race. The track will race differently, but it's still Phoenix. It's still going to carry temperature into the evening. Okay, And so when we're splitting hairs between the top two guys, I think Majeski would be the person I would probably lean towards, okay, in terms of leading laps, in terms of having the best car on paper. I think that's the data points that we're seeing from there. With Corey Heim, I think he's been a much better closer in these races. And when we're looking at a specific race like this with chaos and yellows and strategy and stuff like that, I would actually give the lead. And based on what I have here, where I have everybody projected to finish, I have Corey Heim finishing first. I have Eckes finishing second, and I have Majeski in third. Now you might be like, why would I lean Majeski having the best car? We look at him leading more laps at tracks that are significantly more important than Corey Heim, et cetera, et cetera. We just typically see Majeski and ThorSport run into issues. Like on these races here, and we look at like finished second, finished 11th. I mean, he did win these two races here, but he still finished second. Like Majeski has been falling into situations to where he doesn't end up closing it out. And when we're looking at a race that's 150 laps, okay, if he doesn't clear it out, and if we're running off an assumption that we're going to have 7 to like 12 yellows, we're losing a ton of fast laps, okay? So Majeski might just be operating on like 56 laps led or something. And so continuing onward, I think Corey Heim, from a DFS standpoint, probably makes more sense from Ty Majeski. Ty Majeski is probably going to be higher owned. No, I'm not fading him because of that. I'm saying, hey, I think this race gets crazy. I think variance plays a very heavy role. This is probably a race where you would probably want to lean into the lower owned driver who realistically, and we can check here. I mean, we look at these finishes here of Corey running issues and stuff. But I will probably play more Corey than Ty Majeski today, just from a standpoint of I think he's going to be lower owned, and I think it's honestly a coin flip between Corey Heim and Ty Majeski. Past that, I'm going to focus on as much place differential as possible. The 150 laps, I fully believe we're going to be operating on probably 85 fast laps, if any. That's 38.25 points. Plus the 150 laps led, so that's 37 plus 38. That's like 75, 76 or so, laps led and fast lap points available here. So realistically, if a championship war contender wins this race, I think they are going to hold the majority of those. As I already stated, I think Eckes is removed from the equation by the field, and so he's removed from leading laps where I'm at. Now, Enfinger has shown up and led laps here, and certainly he's had speed as of late. But when we look at here, you're seeing things very similar to Corey Heim. Hold on. I got to respond to this really fast. We see things very similar based on where he's been finishing and laps led. I mean, technically has more laps led than Heim. But I'm probably not going to have a ton of Enfinger today. Those are just my thoughts on the championship four and who leads the races. I'm going to lean Corey Heim as my primary focus, with Majeski as second. I'm going to have no Eckes, and I'm probably not going to have any Enfinger. Place differential from that point of view, or from, once we're on from that and look at where people are starting, Raja Caruth makes a lot of sense. Ben Rode makes a lot of sense. Jack Wood makes a lot of sense. Okay. Taylor Gray as well. Taylor and Tanner, I have them both. I have, Taylor at a 4.9 value. I have Tanner at a 4.8. Williams Wallace. So like William, Raja Caruth, Ben Rhodes, Jack Wood, Crafton are probably the guys that I'm going to try and fit in or get as many of those guys in my lineups as possible. And I will absolutely sacrifice, a 10K guy, instead of like having Ty Majeski and Corey Heim in the same lineup. I will absolutely sacrifice one of those to have more place differential focus in my lineup, because I think we're going to have a lot of yellows. I think there's going to be a lot of situations to where people are staying out, taking different strategies, especially if we get late yellows and stuff. And so I think that just leans more to the floors of people starting in the 20s and teens. When we look at values, Dawson, Jake Garcia, Matt Mills, Timmy Hill should very easily project to hit 5x. They should very easily hit value. Spencer Boyd, Keith McGee, Thad Moffitt are all in line to hit value if we do have yellows. What I did for these guys is I just looked at them gaining 7 to 8 positions. If we look back at last year's race and you look at the amount of people that didn't finish lap or didn't finish, the race, and you give, I mean, hell, even Lawless going to a backup car starting 38th. If we have a situation where this many guys wreck out, he can very easily finish Lawless Allen. That is, Lawless can very easily finish 25th, 24th, 23rd in a backup car with no laps on it, just because he survived the track or just because he survived the race. This is a race where unlike a place differential or unlike a plate race to where you would, you know, focus on the back, exclusively. I think you need a lot of teens in your lineups or people starting in that on top of the main lap leader, which would be Majeski, Corey Heim, so on and so forth. Those are like my thoughts. I mean, we can kind of go in the weeds and discuss things in more detail as we continue, but that's where I'm at here. I appreciate some of you guys being here on a Friday and to listen about the trucks. I appreciate it. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you very much, Alexander. I do appreciate it. I feel extremely lucky to be in this situation. I would not be here without you guys supporting my content and watching it over these years. What's going on? K, between Heim, Eckes, Majeski, and Enfinger, who's going for the win or who is going to win the race? Let's see. I answered that. Are you opposed to me rocking a TrueDFS? No, go right ahead. Please do. Please absolutely do whatever you would like on your DK header. I mean, hell, I have like my free. I put a new persona on there like just the other day. So like, you guys rock whatever you want on there. But thank you, Old School, for being there and watching all this stuff. Let's see. Anyone to the rear? I mean, I'm assuming it's Lawless Allen. I'll take a gander really fast to see if anybody else is going to the rear. Let's see. At the moment, I haven't seen anything going to the rear outside of Lawless, but he's already there. I'm sure that would be, or the data point will become much more apparent, within the next 40 minutes before the slate locks, before the race starts. But at the moment, I don't know. And yeah, Lawless finished 13th last year because last year was an absolute disgrace of. I mean, you look at where these guys finished. I mean, you have Lawless in 13th. You had Haley Deegan in 15th. Spencer Davis 17th. Nick Lights 19th. I mean, look at all the guys started towards the rear. Mainly because they were so slow they weren't involved in stuff. I mean, this is a gain of 16, gain of whatever these are. I can't do math right now. But you look at all these guys gaining points here, and I think it's pretty safe to say that if you're playing Matt Mills, Timmy Hill, Jake Garcia, Spencer Boyd and stuff, I would lean to them gaining at least 8 or 7 positions, probably as like a base floor line for these guys. So I think the value is completely open today. When I'm looking at my stuff of what it's telling me to play, and I look at where everybody's starting here, my stuff, obviously I said it's like Corey Heim and Ty Majeski. That's more of a coin flip there. I'm leaning just Corey Heim based on where I feel like it's going to be. I mean, Ben Rhodes, William, Timmy Hill, Tanner Gray, Jake Garcia, Dawson. I mean, these are the guys that I would probably build around, and I don't think they're going to show much from a practice standpoint and a lap by lap standpoint, based off of this type of stuff. But I think it'll make a lot of sense once the race starts going, and especially if we do end up getting crazy stuff. As I said, I just think Eckes gets taken out flat out. I just don't think the field allows him to race like anywhere like he wants. Like I'm not going to be shocked if somebody puts Eckes on the wall. And that, that's the baseline of what I'm operating on of this race just being kind of a farce and stuff. Same thing with tomorrow, although, I mean, I haven't bothered looking at where people are starting tomorrow for Xfinity. I just want to see that really fast. Oh, no. Well, they haven't queued yet. No, I'm just a moron. No, they haven't queued today. So we'll see. We'll see where people start today. I know the 92 won't drop to the rear. I know SVG won't drop to. Why am I talking about tomorrow? We're focused on today. What am I doing? I'm getting distracted. Thoughts on Daniel Dye? Where's good old Daniel starting? Starting at 16th. I'm very indifferent. I don't have a real opinion on that. Let me focus on the guys that I would not be playing today. I would not be playing probably any of these individuals. These are the for sure guy. Friesen, Eckes, Infinger, Thompson, Sanchez, Mozak, and Purdy are probably the only guys I would absolutely not play today. Now, a lot of these guys are in the 7K range, so they very easily show up in value and stuff, like pretty easily, especially because we've been playing a ton of Purdy, a ton of, Stuart Friesen and stuff, but they have been starting farther back. Okay. These are the drivers that I feel like are competing, directly with the championship four guys and who are going to be fighting off people who are working their way into the top 10 and top 12 and stuff, like Dean Thompson and Sanchez, right? Like Ankrum, Taylor Gray, William Sawallace, Roger Caruth are going to be fighting directly against these guys, not only for, running position, but running directly against them for DFS purposes and stuff. And I just think it makes more sense to focus on guys starting farther back versus these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, these 7 drivers here. So like with the Daniel Dye question, I probably won't play Daniel Dye. I would probably play Parsons instead. Under no real reason other than the salary and the fact that Parsons is starting farther back. But I would not fault you for playing any of the stuff because I think this is going to be a pretty crazy race. And I would not be shocked to see, as I said, 7, 8 guys not finish this race, especially in the trucks because they're running steel bodies. You get spun around and into the fence, like your day's basically done. You're cutting down tires, you're destroying the rear end and stuff. So like any type of contact is at a track like Phoenix, you spin in 1 and 2 or you spin in 3 and 4, you're making heavy contact with the wall. It's going to remove you from the day, pretty much. And so I just don't see the reason why I would take the unnecessary risk of playing these individual drivers here. I don't know how I would do it. I might do it. This is just me speaking out loud. If this race has a lot of yellows and the championship 4 guys run into a lot of issues, I don't think you could take it down if the guys didn't win. Like, if you didn't have a race winner and stuff. But I got an inkling that if you just played, like, Taylor Gray, Raja, Ben Rhodes, William, and then, whoever else you wanna fill that out with and just fade the top 10, if this race gets really dumb, as I said last year, all championship 4 guys were involved in wrecks. We had people involved in wrecks from all facets of the starting grid on top of that. If one of these individual drivers wins the race from the team position, you might get away with not even playing anybody for the top 10 and not being dead on arrival. Especially, right off the bat, if like Corey Heim gets wrecked or Ty Majeski gets wrecked, you're automatically beating those lineups. And so I think this is a slate that you can probably play more conservatively with place differential instead of targeting, fast laps and laps led, probably more so than normal. But that's kind of my thoughts there. We got a question for Parsons, Jack Wood, and Bailey Curry. Jack Wood is literally, dude, I miss that we haven't had Chris Wright in a race in a long time. Jack Wood, based on speed alone, looking pretty good on his price tag. It's Jack Wood, which, honestly, with how crazy this race is going to be, I don't hate it at all. I already said I'd take Parsons over Daniel Dye, and then when we're in the 6 and 5K ranges, I would probably, if I'm including Jack Wood, my preferences would probably be Jake Garcia, Timmy Hill, Matt Mills, then Jack Wood. But if you need that 5,800 because you can't afford Garcia or Mills, pairing Jack Wood with Timmy Hill seems to make a lot of sense to me. I like Thad Moffitt starting last. There's no way he finishes anywhere near the back of the field. I think Thad Moffitt probably finished 26th, 25th today. Brett Moffitt with the cars that Brett Holmes was running. Brett Holmes had speed. Okay. He a lot of things would happen with Brett Holmes, but like by default, like Brett Moffitt will probably be with the skill level that he has, probably running 19th or 18th and stuff. And he was doing that last time until he had an engine issue, if I'm not mistaken, or if he was involved in a crash. I don't remember what happened to Martinsville off the top of my head with Moffitt. Um, but would I take Moffitt and literally the Brett Holmes car starting 24th? I probably would. Um, so honestly, if we're playing this like a plate race and the cutoff line is like 12th, I would probably lean to like a 5-1, honestly, looking at this race here, with like 12th or 13th being the cutoff of that situation. Past that, we're 50 minutes away from lock. I don't really have anything else. I mean, this is a fast race. If it goes green, uh, hell, even with yellows and stuff, we look at where the stage breaks are. If I can find it. If I can find this. 45, 45, and 60. I mean, stage 1 will probably have 33 green flag laps. Stage 2 probably maybe has like 28. Last stage probably goes green with like 55 laps remaining. So those are kind of my opinions, man. Like, we know this race is going to be crazy. I don't think you need to dump a lot into it. I think we see a solo winner pretty easily. Shout out to, can we talk about last night's NFL showdown? Because when I see situations like that, it makes me very happy from a statistic standpoint, and then like frustrated from like, oh man, because I didn't have I faded Chase in the captain and stuff. But that winning lineup is like so amazing to look at and see. Like the 0.25 or whatever the fuck, Williams was last night, and like all the major stuff like that. That's one of the most impressive sights I've ever seen, probably in an NFL contest. Specifically showdown. The fact, like, I like talking about this stuff, but like the fact that Hudson was at 12.9 and Wallace was at 0.25, if not lower in most contests. And that lineup in the main, I'm looking at 33. Solo in the 33. I think it was played 8 times in the main, if my DraftKings will load. Where are we at? Yeah, like that lineup was played 6 times in the main, dude. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy to see. We got a guy with Pritzky 28, 61, 4, 59, 65, and 59. So speaking out loud, just because I'm like killing time while we get more comments and stuff, and just because I like talking about this. Now, with where Sims and projections and where content is at now, the fact that even like that lineup was still played, 6 times in the main gives me it doesn't discourage me, but I feel like the act of NASCAR is different. I don't typically run into that issue there at all, especially in the plate race. I typically have non-tube lines anyway. But for other sports, specifically like showdown, I feel like purposely trying to get lineups that aren't duped are almost getting to the point of, I think you're lowering your actual EV. Like, clearly, if you land on stuff, you're gonna win a lot, but, like, from, like, a regular day scenario, I'm leaning more and more towards trusting win rate than return on value on Sims, because, especially, like, an NBA showdown and stuff, I never enter those contests thinking the winner's gonna be solo, right? And so, I almost feel like either A, running stuff with trains to like, I mean, and we've seen this, in F1 and other sports, so, the trick is now, you play your best lineups and play them, in a train of your own. Like, if you enter like 20 to 50 entries, you're only playing like, 5 to 10 lineups in those things, and you have them spread out, as like if you're doing 20 lineups, most of the time we're seeing people play, 4 lineups 5 times and stuff to negate, the fact that, the field is duping so much and so on and so forth. Um, but I really feel like kind of just speaking out loud, I think worrying about getting lineups that aren't duplicated at this point is kind of a bad decision. Um, Personally, I would probably lean to just kind of landing on lineups that are projected to win, and if you dupe, you dupe. That's kind of my opinion there. But last night was wildly impressive to see. That's crazy. Uh, that's great. Just what a lineup, dude. That shit makes me so happy to see crazy shit like that. Let's see what else we got. Is Crafton worth putting in line tonight? I fully believe he is. 8,200. Nobody's really going to play him. Not really streaming anything in practice data. In a race where anything can happen, I think Crafton makes a lot of sense, especially as a place differential play. If we get a lot of restarts and this race comes down to a lot of 3 and 4 lap shootouts, practice time don't even matter. It's just can you survive those laps? And that's where I'm at. And I think he is JJT 12380. I talked about that earlier in this video, in which we still got time for you to go back and listen to 2x. I've only been here for half an hour in the session locks, the iRacing session lock, the slate locks in 43 minutes, so you have plenty of time to go back and listen to it in like 15 minutes and stuff. I think that's where I'm probably going to end it. I think this is a pretty ugly race. I think there's a lot of wrecks, a lot of yellows, a lot of ugly racing, and so I think if you lean into that and lean towards not playing or being underweight, especially in races like this, being underweight on the higher owned guys, I think that is the decision to make there. And if I start running stuff and I see that not Eckes, and I start seeing that Corey Heim is projected to be higher owned than Majeski, I will then probably start leaning Majeski. But I would really like to play the guy who is going to be lower owned between those two tonight. And I think that's going to be Corey Heim. Based on the fact that he has not performed as well at the tracks that we were looking at in comparison to Ty Majeski, and the fact that Majeski was faster in practice. We typically see a big in NASCAR DFS, whether it works out or not. I mean, you look back at freaking TrueX. And that's not even like, I mean, it's easy to go around and be like, oh, you were right about this. I just had a bad feeling about TrueX. Right into issue at Martinsville. Can't believe he was as owned as he was. That's crazy. He hadn't shown any speed like that to even justify that. But when we typically see a guy who is best in averages and then start on the pole, they typically have more ownership than the competitor. When we're looking directly between Heim and Ty Majeski, my gut says Majeski will carry probably more ownership than we're expecting because he fills out multiple check marks entering this race. I think you should go Corey Heim. Where else are we at? Do you think anything? I did not, because I didn't see anything that I liked. Although I looked the other day, I didn't look. Let's take a gander. Let's take a real quick gander together, shall we? Let's do it to it. Shop merch. Let's see what we're at. Oh, is this on everything? See, I was looking at clearance the other day, right? And I was like, dude, I don't need any of this stuff. But, like, do we got any die-casts that are, like, on sale? Like, I really, like, I don't give a shit about these idiots. What does Gregson have? I'm not paying $75 for that. Like, that's the only thing I'd want, right? We look at, like, men's, and I'm like, oh my god, this is like on. Oh, let's see. Well, it's valid for a month. You don't even have to pick it today. This is a month. We can come back and look at this shit later. But like ugly. I mean, these shirts suck. We got any? Not like what do I need that has like maybe this, but they didn't have my size. When I looked at this the other day, they do not have my. Yeah, they don't have my size. I'm extra large, so I can't do that one. So like, Personally, I haven't seen anything that I would really want. These are kind of cringy. So no, it'll probably be I'm not probably gonna order anything from Stuart Haas because I think that I think the shirts are quite ugly. Like, dude, they don't make NASCAR shirts like they used to, man. They really don't. Best way to do it, honestly, I know this is on sale. Go to Fanatics. I'm talking like January 4th or January 6th if you're gonna celebrate that day. Go to Fanatics, January 6th. Go to clearance, extra large NASCAR shirts. Typically, that's the only time of the year I buy NASCAR stuff, and where all the shirts will be like from like $6.99 to like $18. Like that's the only time I ever buy NASCAR shirts on sale. I so to answer your question, I don't see anything here that's worth buying or putting money into. Projection for Sanchez, I got Nicholas projected for 6 today. With him right around like given the range like 39 to like 46 points. What contests are left that you like in DK? I mean, are they all full? Oh, big rip. Let's see. Big Hoss. Do we even have anything that's worth play? Dude, like some of my friends will tell me that, like, because they play like DFS passively and stuff, and so they don't get. They sometimes they're it'll be like 10 minutes before the race, and they're like, oh, let me get into a contest forever, and they're like, all these things suck. I mean, if you're not in anything yet, I mean, I don't even know what you play to even have fun today. Like, can you even get like the new $10, right? Like 117 people. Like, is that $10 even worth getting out of bed? I don't think it is, because most outcomes would have you finishing min cash, right? Like, ask anybody who plays DFS. The skill is getting you, to fall in the range of like top 17% of the contest, like top 8. Anything past that is luck going in your way. I don't see the return on the new 10 being worth it. Like, I don't know, dude. Play the new 10, play the new 4. You're kind of stuck with playing any of that stuff. You gotta be early. Or just say screw it and throw 20 into the $1. Like, I don't know, dude. I don't know. You're kind of late there. Yeah, I mean, I think Spencer Boyd's a great play. We went over this. I'll probably end it so people can go back and listen to it. But I think Garcia, Mills, Hill, Boyd, Keith McGee, Thad Moffitt, all great plays, and Nathan Lawless, Frankie still in play with everything that we've probably will end up seeing. I think any of these guys in the back are there. Yeah, dude, Boyer, like, here, we'll go back here, right? Where's Boyer? Like, first off, youth tee, not gonna buy that. Like, I mean, what is this ugly thing? Like, why would you walk around? Where am I wearing this, dude? Where am I like this, dude? I got this for like, I'm pretty sure I got this free at a NASCAR race. This is a 2012 Toyota racing shirt. Like, I got for free. Like, I would never buy this junk, right? Like, I will say flags, like the flag behind me got on sale, years ago or whatever for like $20. I would buy the Harvick forever. No, actually, let me hold on. Hold on. There's a Kevin Harvick flag. He's in the 29. The only thing I would buy from, oh my God, dude. Give me a second. Hold on. The only thing, please don't tell me they're out. Because this is the only thing also kind of weird to be buying shirts for like a 12-year-old. Like, I'm not gonna do that. Gotta find it somewhere. It's another Harvick flag. Are they out? They might be out, dude. The other day, let's see if I can find it. I know it's in my history because we're already here, and we're just kind of. Oh my God. Give me a second here. Oops. Let's see. Yeah, I was doing this on the 4th. Is this out? Yeah, dude, it's out. This is the only thing. You can't buy it anymore. $25. I saw this flag and I was like, yeah, for $25, I'd buy that flag. Clearly other people thought the same thing. This was the only thing that I thought was worth buying on the site, and it's gone. So I just think a lot of their stuff is hideous and ugly. I wouldn't buy it. We're looking at the Boyer stuff. Do they even still have Boyer? I don't know. A lot of these things just suck, dude. A lot of these things are so ugly. Oh, I did consider like the 124s, like, dude, why do I want this thing? Like, if you're looking for 124s, that's not a bad price. MSRP on these are, $60, but there's really nothing to look at here. That's mainly it. Anyway, I'll let you guys go ahead and enjoy the rest of your night, build your lineups and stuff like that. Thank you for being here. I will see you guys tomorrow morning or post qualifying for the Xfinity Series to talk about the Xfinity Series. Yeah, you guys got half an hour till slate locks. Best of luck, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.